welcome to another video from Tango Protocol. In this one we'll be making a Python project after completing the series on everything you need to know on Python. So I'll be making a project where it'll be an authentication, so you write in a password and username, and if you get it wrong you write again. We'll be primarily using a while loop here to demonstrate why while loops are really important, so you can differentiate from for loops and while loops. So let's start. Let's start by making a function that creates a account. So let's do def and we'll do create, and we won't give it any parameters because we're just creating it, so we won't be needing any parameters. And we'll do is username. Actually, we'll just do created user is equal to input create username, and what we can do is do dot lower. So whenever we're checking if the username is same to the username the person enters, we have to do dot lower, so just to take into account if the user writes any uppercase or lowercase. So it's easy to use in if-else statements. And we'll do create pass, and we'll do password, and what we'll do here is return these two. So we'll return created user and then created pass, and we'll see what we get. Let's print create. So we're calling this function and we run this and let this load. Now it's telling us to write username. I'll do foo, password will be pass123, and then the credentials are saved in a tuple, or you can see this as the list that can't be modified. So we've stored our credentials somewhere, and the thing is with this one is this is the local memory, so it's not like we're saving this in a database where it'll be saved forever. As soon as this program gets shut down, all of our memory will get deleted, so our credentials will get deleted when we use a simple tuple or list. The only way we can make it permanent is using a database, but we won't be using a database as that's out of the scope for this video. So we've created a way to allow users to create an account. Now we need to validate if the user gets the thingy right, the account right. So what we'll do before creating another function, we'll do actually no, we can just have it where we do def validate, and this won't take any parameters, but we'll copy and paste this and we'll do enter and then enter, and then we'll tell them to enter it. So the difference from this one and this one is we're telling them to create it. So this one will we'll save these inside of a tuple list, but we're gonna use these ones, these two enters, to test if they got the password and username right. So let's do if enter user equals, but before we do that, we need a way to access these values. We need a way to access created user and created password, because we can't just simply do created user because that's out of the scope. So what we need to do is call this function create inside of the function validate, and we can do that by doing create, but we need to store these values somewhere, and we can store them by using a variable on something called bundling and unpacking. I haven't taught you bundling or unpacking, so this will be something new to you, but it's pretty simple. What we'll do is do username and then password equals, so basically username will be this value because this is the first value here, this is the first value here, and password will be this value because that's the second value, since this returns two values. So what we can do now is to test if this works, and we're going to return we'll do an f string username, and we'll do a password and see what happens here. We'll call this function, run it now. Now it's asking to do the username, and the only reason it's asking us to create a username, is because we call this function inside the validate. Although we're not calling create, we're not calling create. Sorry, let me get rid of this. We're not calling create down here. We're calling create inside of this function. So when we call this function, we're also calling the function create. So that's why it's asking us to create username. So we'll do foo again, and we'll do pass123, and we'll enter our username. We'll do foo pass123, and then it says our username and password. So let's see what happens if we do it with caps. Run this again. So let's do foo, and that's the third character in foo is actually uppercase O, not a 0. And we'll do pass 1 2 and 3. We'll just do foo pass 1 2 3, and then you can see this foo is caps. Maybe I should have, hold up, foo pass 1 2 3, and I'll do fee, and then pass 3 2 1, and you can see these are all the same. This correlates to this, and we made this lowercase, so when we do an if statement against these two, we know we don't have to worry about uppercase letters. So we delete this. What I want to do here is to print, and just print nothing. And why I'm doing this is because when you run this, we'll do foo pass 1 2 3, and I want this space between the crate and whatnot, and I want to import something. I'm wanting to import something called time. Import time, and what I'm gonna do now is actually before this print, I'm gonna print saying creating account, and then what we'll do is time.sleep, and we'll give it like 1 second. We'll run this, and when we create an account now, so we say foo pass 1 2 3, it's creating an account, and then it's created, and then we get a username, so we enter a username, try foo pass 1 2 3. We're not necessarily returning anything here yet, but that's why it's saying none. So let's try this out. Let's get rid of this validate, and now we need to do if enter user equal to, and no, I'm using double equals for is equal to, not the assignment operator. We'll do return wait, we need to do and enter pass is equal to password. We need to return access granted, and then what we'll do is else return access denied. Alright, so let's run this, and let's first get it right, get the thing right. So what we'll do, why is this happening? Oh yes, because we're not calling anything. Yeah, we need to remember to call something, and that's by print validate, and we've called it, and then we can create a username, and we'll create foo pass 1 2 3. It's creating an account for us, and we need to enter a username, and let's do foo again, pass 1 2 3, and it says access granted. And what we'll do it again. We'll do foo pass 123 and fee pass 321, and it says access denied as it should. So we've got that fixed, but now we need to do it where if the user gets it wrong, we need to give them another chance, but we don't want to give them enough chances where it's obvious they're not the user. So we can do this two ways. We can use a for loop or a while loop, but I want to use a while loop here, and I'll do that by doing a while here and then a true. So I'll do while true for now, and indent this. This code will work, but the problem here is now we have an endless loop. So if even if the user guesses it right or wrong, it's still going to be going endlessly. So if the user gets it right, we want to break out the loop, break out of it, because since the user got it right, we just get out of this whole loop. And if it gets wrong, we need to ask the user again to enter the username and password. But before we do that, let's run this. Do foo pass 123 foo pass 123, and you see it's been broken. But breaking me like outside the loop, and then we do foo pass 123 and fee pass 321, and for some reason oh yeah, I see what's happening here. The return automatically basically breaks if when a return gets executed, the loop automatically gets broken. So instead of a return, we need to use a variable. So let's make a variable called message and keep it an empty string, and we'll do message is equal to, and message is equal to, and then outside of the for loop we'll return message. So now we're not so now this loop will go endlessly, even though we no longer have a return loop. So we'll do foo pass 123 fee pass 321, and now it's doing nothing, but you can see it's still in the terminal. It's doing nothing because it can't output anything, because let me give you an example. You print I'm in the loop, fee pass 321, and now you see it's going over endlessly. It's not going to stop, but we don't want that. We only want them to do it like enter the password like 3 or 4 times and then break out the loop. So what we can do is first give them the availability of writing in the username and password. So we just copy and paste this code and put it in here, and we can run this, and we get create username, and we just do foo pass 123 we'll do fee pass 321, and you can see we got it wrong. So we'll do oh look, this doesn't make any sense because okay, so we want to tell the user they got the username wrong and password wrong. So we can't do that because we're not input and printing anything here. So this message is not even needed. So we can do print, and then access denied. But then we have this message here. So what we can just do, delete this. Yeah, we'll just return message clear um, okay, so we'll clear this, run this, see what happens now, and we'll do foo pass 123 fee pass 321, and it tells us to do it again, fee pass 123, tells us to do it again. Even if we get the password right, foo pass 123, it gives us an access granted now. So we've basically made it where if we get the password wrong, we'll get denied. If we get the password right, we're gonna get granted into the account. So let's clean this up a bit. We'll do print, so we'll have a little bit of space, see how this looks. Foo pass 123, fee pass 123, fee pass 321. We'll do foo pass 123, and it gives us an access granted. But realistically, we don't want them to do this endless amount of times, because then that gives if it's not the rightful owner of the account, it gives that person endless amount of opportunities to get their account right. So what we can do is we'll initiate a variable called counter, we'll give that to 0, and we'll do counter plus equals 1. So since this is inside of the else conditional flow, what will happen if the person gets the password right, the counter will be incremented by 1. If the user gets the password wrong, the counter will be incremented by 1. If they get it right, then they'll get access granted. But we want it, if counter reaches a certain number, we tell them you can't access the account anymore. So what we can do is make another if statement. So if counter is equal to, let's say, 5, we'll do we'll make message is equal to too many failed attempts, and then we'll do a break. That should do it. We tried that first, did not work. So let's do it another couple of times. 321 fee pass 321 fee fee pass 321, I think last time, and then it says access denied. Oh wait, no, we still have one more time to write it, and then it says too many failed attempts, and then it shuts down the program. So we need a way to tell the user how many attempts they've got left, and we can just do that simply by saying you got print that, and then we'll do print you have, we'll do an F statement here, you have counter of 5 remaining goals, and we'll run this. Why is that not being printed? Oh, now it's getting printed. So we do fee pass 321 feed pass 321, and then we can do that a couple more times, and then it should break here. Yeah, so we've basically made it where we made our code so far. So let's recap what we've done. We've imported time, which is not really necessary, but it helps make that delay effect. And then we have this create function, and this create function allows the user to create an account. So we need an account to be able to see, to be able to validate. And then we made a function called validate, and this is where most of our algorithm goes, where we test whether the user's create account is equal to the validate account. We unpack the created account, we ask the user to enter the username and password, and then we have this empty variable called message, and we use this message to tell the user whether they successfully entered the account or they failed to enter the account, and we're at the end we're just returning this message. And then we have this counter, and this counter helps with making the counter helps to see how many times the user tried to access the account. So we've got a couple of if-else statements, even nested. This basically tests if they've got it right. If they have, then the access granted, and if they don't have it, we display a couple of messages. We tell the user to enter their username and password again, and then we have a counter getting incremented. And then if the counter is equal to 5, we break out the while loop, and we tell the user too many failed attempts, and that should be the program realistically. um, what's great about this is you can easily change it, so we can have it where um, we can do it 3 for the number of goals, so number of attempts, it could be 3, it could be 1, it could be 10, so it's very easy to change here. And that's basically the program. Thinking if there's anything else we need to implement. Anyway, this code can break, and I don't think we can, because we made sure we did lower so the if statements will always be correct. So let's play around with it for a bit. Let's make an actual account. So my Discord name is aim.entity, so we'll aim.entity, and we'll change the password to we'll do aim 445, create the password, and let's say account, and let's say we enter username, so we do aim.entity, and let's say it was aim 554. We got that wrong, and we do aim.entity, so it's aim 321. We got that wrong, and then aim.entity, and then we do aim 445. And it does say this, which could be a potential bug, but it also does give us a access to the access to our account, so that's great. So that's basically the video. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you found this video helpful. If you have, make sure to subscribe and like. If you got any questions, if your code doesn't work necessarily, make sure to comment below. I will try to help you out. And have a good one.